The nurse then spread Ada's legs. She looked in between her legs and said in confusion, "You are in labor." Adaeze was an only child from a well-respected and rich family. Her father was a successful businessman who was often out of the country, while her mother ran a successful food business in Omaka Olo. Ada lived in luxury and was doted upon, not just because she was an only child, but also because she was intelligent and considered extremely beautiful by all who saw. She was the perfect child. Her teachers loved her, her peers either loved or envied her, and all the villagers constantly sang her praises, making her parents proud. In school, Ada has been appointed as the head girl. She was known to be well behaved and intelligent, and she had abstained from anything that could tarnish her image. Every girl in the school either loved and wanted to be her or envied her. But Ada didn't care. Ada attracted a lot of interest and attention from men, but she had a reputation of turning them down faster than they could blink. Her friends had tried to set her up with suitors, but she always rejected them, and instead, she was only interested in her studies. Everything was seemingly perfect until one fateful morning when she woke up feeling dull and unusually heavy. She had been feeling uncomfortable with her body and somewhat unbalanced for a while now. She often finds some sitting and sleeping positions that wasn't usually uncomfortable to be discomforting. And she has been having extreme emotional outbursts and cravings for the past couple of months. But that day seemed progressively worse. Feeling a wave of concern, she looked at her reflection in the mirror. Nothing seemed particularly different, except for her slightly fuller cheeks, and her stomach was as flat as it used to be, so it wasn't like she added weight. She couldn't shake the feeling of carrying something heavy. She took in deep breaths, recited her daily affirmations, then went on with her daily activities as usual, ignoring the discomfort. When Ada went downstairs for breakfast, she was pleasantly surprised to see her father, who has been out of the country to Cotonou for a business trip for a couple of months, back. This lightened her mood. Her dad has always lavished her with exquisite gifts, especially when he returns from any of his trips, and so she was giddy with excitement. "Good morning, father," Ada greeted in excitement as she hugged her father. "When did you come home, father?" she asked out of curiosity. "I came past midnight," he replied with a smile, hugging her back. "The journey must have stressed you out. You look so tired," Ada commented. Before her dad could respond, she heard her mom saying teasingly, "I had no idea I could become this invisible this fast." Understanding what she meant, Ada turned back to hug her mom and sat to eat breakfast with her family. Ada was excited about the gifts her father had brought her and couldn't wait to come from school to go through all of them. At school, Ada caught up with her best friends. She had two best friends named Ifunanya and Chineye. Ifunanya was ranting about her cheating boyfriend, something she has been doing frequently in the past few weeks. This time, though she spoke about setting a trap to catch him in the act, they were later joined by Chineye, Ada's other best friend. "Where have you been?" Ifunanya questioned Chineye with suspicion in her eyes. Before Chineye could reply, the bell rang, signaling the start of classes. As they navigated the school compound, each walking towards their different classes they had that morning, Ada's eyes met with those of Mr. James, an attractive and young computer teacher who had joined the school 10 months ago for his youth Corper service. Every girl at school had a crush on him, including some teachers. As they passed by each other in the busy passage, he slipped a note into her hands. Her heart skipped and she was giddy with excitement. They had been in a secret relationship for the past 9 months. Though Ada was saddened by the fact that he would be leaving in 2 months' time, Mr. James had promised that the relationship would not end there. She really hoped it wouldn't. During class, Ada sneakily took a peek at the note, which asked her to meet at their usual spot in the abandoned teacher's lounge. After reading it, she quickly shoved it into the pocket of her school blazers before anyone notices. She carried on her classes with anticipation, hoping for the day to pass by quickly so she can meet up with Mr. James. During the break, Ada was told by a student that her friends were in the girls' toilet fighting. In disbelief, she quickly rushed there, where she saw Chinenye and Ifunanya were indeed fighting. Ada struggled to separate them and questioned why they would engage in such an embarrassing act. Chinenye is the witch that has been ruining my relationship, Ifunanya declared furiously. Standing in between them, she turned towards Chinenye in shock and disappointment. "Chinenye, is this true?" she asked. "Don't even try to deny it," Ifunanya warned from behind Ada. Chinenye rolled her eyes and said, "Yes, it is true, and so?" While she stood there in shock, Ifunanya leaped towards Chinenye and continued the attack. As Ada moved to separate them once more, before they could draw attention of the teachers, she felt something wet slide down her legs. When she looked down, she saw herself standing in a pool of water. "Did I just pee on myself?" she whispered to herself. Suddenly, she felt a sharp pain in her stomach and let out a scream. Realizing that something was seriously wrong, Ifunanya and Chinenye, forgetting their fight, quickly rushed to help Ada. They took her to the school sick bay. After finding out what happened, the nurse looked at Ada, who was screaming in pain. Perplexed, she then asked her assistant to go and call the doctor. The nurse then spread Ada's legs. She looked in between her legs and said in confusion, "You are in labor." Ada looked at her, like as if she has gone 3 hairs. Her friends looked at each other in confusion. "That's impossible." Ada yelled. The nurse tried to calm her down and walked through the labor process, even though she insisted that she wasn't pregnant. Ada was told to push and take breaths in between, which she complied with. Getting weaker with each push due to the excruciating pain, at the point of giving up, she decided to give one last push. Suddenly, the cry of a baby filled the room. Everyone stared in shock at each other. Ada passed out. Ada was rushed to the hospital, where they found out that she has cryptic pregnancy, a kind of pregnancy where there are no physical symptoms until labor. Her friends tried as much as possible to visit her as often as they could, sometimes sneaking to see her, as their parents saw Ada as a bad influence and has disapproved of their continued friendship. They filled her in what is happening at school. Apparently, Ada's mom has seen the note in the pockets of her school blazers. Ada's mom has taken the letter to school. After serious investigation, it was discovered that Mr. James had written her the letters. He initially tried to deny it, but a staff had noticed him and Ada come out of the abandoned teacher's lounge. He pleaded and begged that he wasn't financially stable to take care of a child. Ada, hearing this, was devastated. She felt like her life was over. Furthermore, the school has stripped her of her titles and she has been suspended. Ada slumped into a state of depression. She refused to see or touch the baby, claiming it wasn't hers. It almost seemed as though she had lost her mind. But after a few weeks of mental therapy, she slowly came to the acceptance of what has happened. After a 2-month stay at the hospital, her mother came to pick her up. On getting home, her father was seated in the living room waiting. He had only come once to see her at the hospital. She couldn't bear to look at her father in the eyes, afraid to find out what he thought of her and of the disappointment she had caused him, and also the disgrace she brought to the family. After a while of tense silence, her father expressed his disappointment and anger at what she has done. Ada's father told her he will no longer sponsor her education and that she should focus on taking care of her child. After a year of doing that, she will have to find a job to take care of herself and her baby. Ada's word came crashing down. She begged her father for days, pleading with him to at least let her write her SSCE. After weeks of begging and the intervention of her mother, her father agreed, but on the condition that she will go back to finish her high school after her baby has turned a year old. She knew her father meant it, and she also knew that her father was trying to avoid the mocking that she would receive in school. But she was determined to let her story not end like that. So Ada agreed to her father's terms. After a year, Ada went back to school to finish off her high school. It wasn't easy at all. Whenever she walked around, the eyes that had always looked at her with love, admiration, and pride were filled with mockery, pity, and disappointment. Her junior has become her classmate. They made it a point of duty to remind her of her woes. The teachers watch her interact with any male with suspicion. No villager wanted their daughter as her friend. She was always lonely. Regret became her only companion. However, she was determined to make her parents proud again. She decided to go on a redemption path and put all her effort into her studies. And she ended up scoring the highest nationwide in her SSCE exams, earning her a scholarship to study abroad. For the first time in a long while, her father looked at her with pride and a glimmer of hope. All was not lost after all. Thank you so much for tuning in to Bejen's Folktales. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and comment for more folktale stories.